Greetings, fellow sufferers of bird blindness. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And tonight we're talking another Rick up my sleeve. That's right, Dragon. We're going back to Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty's having a comeback, baby. No, not really. It's Peacemaker, Season 2, Episode 3. But Dragon, tell me this episode title isn't something that Rick and Morty would pull.
Yeah.
Anyways. All right, so we are officially exploring this new dimension. I heard a theory about this dimension. I think it's probably floating around. You've probably heard it before too, Dragon. We'll talk about it as we go through this episode. But overall, what did you think?
I thought this was a great episode. I thought it really made the case for why this world would draw Christopher Smith into it further, and I love all the stuff with the Rick Flag. I just thought it was really good, and it's really kind of feeding into kind of the premise of episode 1, and we've been kind of building with 2, and we're on a great track so far. Like everything seems very nice and rosy, and obviously at the end of this episode, as well as just some underpinnings with our theories. It seems like there's trouble on the horizon, and more immediately for Peacemaker by the end of this episode. So I am very interested to see how he's going to get himself out of immediate danger next episode.
All right. Yeah, I tend to agree. I think this is we're just kind of ramping stuff up. The immediate danger is going to come. We'll see how that goes. I have heard from all intents and purposes, Dragon, the critics got a hold of the first 5 episodes. So something big's going to happen on episode 5. That's the big theory, and I
have heard that James Gunn has kept like the last 3 on lock and key. He does not want anyone to see it.
Sure, and
we've gotten a big detail revealed by James Gunn though about this season, Peacemaker.
Yeah,
directly will set up and lead into Man of Steel. Well, sorry, Man of Tomorrow. Yeah.
All these different Superman titles, all these different.
Oh, come on! Titles. It's not that many.
We still haven't had a Caped Crusader movie. That's the one I want.
Well, again, we're gonna do it eventually. We're gonna do Brave and the Bold. Eventually, they got to get the Cape. We have a show. It's called Caped Crusader. What do you want?
That's true. All right. Anyways, okay. Well, let's kick things off. We have a really interesting flashback, and look. This is the first time, I believe, in the James Gunn universe that we acknowledge anything that happened in the first Suicide Squad movie.
That's very true.
So that was interesting. Dragon, you know what I was kind of hoping for? It's going to be really stupid.
What?
I was kind of hoping for a Katana name drop. Just because that is one of the more memorable moments from the first movie. Just that one really, really forced line. The whole, this is Katana. She has my back. Her swords trap the souls of its victims.
I would advise not getting killed by her.
I'm just Katana, everyone's favorite character from the original Suicide Squad.
So let's take a moment just to acknowledge again Joel Kinnaman. It's wonderful to have him back as
honestly, even in the original Suicide Squad movie, I thought he was one of the few people in that movie that was actually trying.
I mean, look, seriously, across the boards in general, Joel Kinnaman's a really good actor. He sometimes his projects don't work out, but you can tell he's putting the work in. Like, for example, the RoboCop remake. He played Alex Murphy in that. And again, that movie, it wasn't bad, but it certainly wasn't great. It barely was good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't. That's the thing. But again, he was, for the take that he was trying for Alex Murphy, it's like, okay, they're very much going in kind of the Peter Weller vein, but unfortunately, Kinnaman's getting nothing really to work with story-wise. It's a very hollow interpretation of RoboCop, but he's trying. He's putting in the suit. He had the best moment in that movie, which is RoboCop, which is the one thing we could have. It feels like it could have been in the original, which is we remove essentially the build of RoboCop to reveal all that's truly left of Alex Murphy and his reaction to that. That's excellent acting on Joel Kinnaman's part.
Nice.
Anyway, the point being though, you're right, T. He was a very, he's very. Again, I love Rick Flag Sr., everything we've been doing there. But again, a big reason we love Rick Flag Sr. is that's a guy dealing with the loss of Junior. We like Junior, especially in James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. And I like the dynamic between him and Deadshot, because that was a classic thing from the comics, and the times we've seen the Suicide Squad, that Deadshot bumps up against Rick Flag Jr., and that we kind of represented that well, and Joel Kinnaman really brought that dynamic to the surface in the David Ayer version. So he's very much represented that character as well as we probably could have. Anyway, so yeah, the opening here. This is 3 years prior to Peacemaker season 2. Now, this was a shocking reveal to me because initially, we teed up that she had been dating a jarhead, so some people had theorized it would be Rick Flag Jr., which ultimately is true. But that's with that in mind, we're starting this episode thinking, okay, we're getting a peek at what Harcourt's current jarhead boyfriend is. But then the reveal that, wait a minute, that coupled with 3 years later, and then we confirm it with the little kind of catch up, like little montage of, okay, if anyone's confused, it's like, no, this is absolutely like the regular Earth. So one of the reasons Harcourt was so hard on Peacemaker in season 1 was that she was really good friends, and I guess friends with benefits, with Rick Flag Jr., and that was a really great reveal.
And I think that just recontextualizes literally everything that we've seen from Harcourt and Peacemaker. And what do you know, Dragon? Suddenly that dynamic is a lot more interesting to me.
Yeah, see? Lo and behold.
Right.
But
and again, like when I talked about it last episode, I'm not saying I'm not invested in it. I'm just saying it was a little bit on the back burner of my investment compared to a couple other things. And granted, I still have my doubts about like if we're gonna like what we're doing with the two different Harcourts and the different universes. We'll see how that plays out, especially with the twist that I'm assuming you and I are kind of on the same page about is probably going to happen. So we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, suffice to say, this definitely made me a little bit more invested in the dynamic for sure.
But I like the idea, just with our mainline Harcourt that we saw here, is the idea, she really did, she was, she trusted Rick Flag Jr., and there was a respect there, and there was like, they were kind of blending some lines, and maybe there could have been something there. Like he was saying, well, let's explore, dropping those, crossing those boundaries. Let's anyway. So it's funny that we mentioned the Enchantress because, to the David Ayer version of Suicide Squad's point, I mean, again, with the Rick Flag stuff, the idea Rick Flag was invested in that relationship and in saving, kind of the target, and that was, so in a sense, he was kind of working against Waller's agenda, and he was genuinely grateful to, Deadshot and everyone for kind of helping that out. So I mean, Enchantress, before she turned into the giant, stupid looking, like belly dancer at the end,
CGI belly dancing.
Before we did the stupid CGI belly dancing thing with her, I mean, in general, Enchantress was pretty well represented. She looked all creepy. It was a cool effect, and we had the whole dual relationship thing, Rick Flag, which clearly is a flawed relationship, which we call out here, which is why he wants out of it desperately. So it all. Again, it's nice he's like kind of picking and choosing there, even though he is like, that's a big risk for James Gunn to even bring up that Suicide Squad, just given all the hard work we're doing now to forget that stuff. But he's canonizing the stuff that he thought works, and you know what, I again, that's the way we need to approach the DCU. We got to acknowledge the stuff that we like and carry over what we can, assuming we have a plan that can actually can be written well into what the story that we're telling.
For sure.
Okay.
And for the second time, we get like a real underline of the whole like Peacemaker. What a joke. And I really think that moment right there is like the thesis statement for the whole show.
Oh, yeah. All right. So Chris is hungover from last night. He basically went to the other universe, drunk as a skunk, and texting Harcourt, trying to mend things, seeing kind of feeling things out there. And then he basically fell asleep and woke up in that universe. Keith's waking him up, and yeah, I love. So of course, David Denman. I've told you what David Denman's from, haven't I?
You know my memory. I can't think of it off the top of my head. You probably have.
Okay, David Denman was he was from The Office. He was from was Pam's original fiance from The Office.
Got it.
The point being, he was also in I know Gunn produced this. I forget who directed it, but Brightburn. He was the Pace of the Pa Kent fill-in Brightburn. He was really that's kind of how he ends up in this project. Essentially, that's kind of basically I believe Sean Gunn, James Gunn produced Brightburn. That's how they got him in there. Anyway, point being, David Denman's a really good actor, and I really love that we're letting him shine as Keith here because you feel like the brotherly love, and there's a dynamic here. The whole pop quiz gag I thought was very funny. So. So Chris is hung over, and he realizes he's scheduled like kind of a meeting with Amelia too, and it's I love the realization too. By the way, like, come on, he's just trying to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
All right, so then we reveal the big draw of the episode, the peace cycle. So again, the cosmic joke of Peacemaker is that Peacemaker ultimately wants to be Batman, but he's always in Batman's shadow. So the fact that we're giving him kind of totems of success like Batman, like we're giving him a Bat Cycle equivalent, is really cool. We've given him the peace cycle. And we have just like stopped by the traffic light. And we have like like the kid like it's like Peacemaker, and then like
I love you, Peacemaker.
A little much, and then we have women flashing. 3 episodes of nudity in a row, which I gotta give James Gunn credit for. It's just to throw it out there.
All right, I think this is probably a good time to plant the flag on the theory, right?
Sure. Well, I mean, if you want, I mean, technically we could wait until the terrorists, but it's whatever you want to do it, I guess.
I think this is a good time because
sure.
I think this is our first. Well, I honestly think Keith not knowing who the Kardashians
are. That was really the first hint.
First clue.
Yep, that was the first
But then we go outside. Dragon, literally all white people in the background. Every single person here is white.
Yes.
This is not something that was done on accident.
No.
Day and age, this is not something that DC just fucked up on.
No.
So, I mean, obviously we're going to break down the implications of that as we go through the episode, but suffice to say, I think a lot of people are kind of on a similar wavelength when it comes to what's actually going on in this dimension.
Yeah. So I mean, here's the thing: in our bones, like from a storytelling perspective, we know okay, we're gonna face Chris with the choice of like stay in the universe or go back home. If this universe is so great, why would he ever want to leave it? It's Shangri-La. So basically, we're slowly
best dimension ever.
Yes, which is like
I like that runner so much. That's literally all I used for the video description.
Yeah, which is great. And again, we need to really show the appeal and the draw of this universe and why there would be like a big like question of like like why would he want to leave if everything is going to Millhouse and there was an opening for a Peacemaker because he killed the other guy.
Sure.
So there's no reason for him to really go back in theory. I mean, aside the real question is if Eagly's there or not. If Eagly, that's the one to carry on he might have, which again we'll probably get into shortly. Regardless, so it's kind of a nice like we the audience know there's going to be a decision. There's going to be something. There's going to be a cost of some kind. Even if he does stay in this universe, something's going to go wrong. He's going to want to go back or something. So we know in our bones something like that's going to happen. So
I mean, if it's what I'm thinking, and if it's what most people are thinking, then there's no way he can actually stay in it.
So just given the fact that we have White Dragon, in this case Blue Dragon,
right.
So we have the heroic version of that guy here. So a lot of people have been theorizing because
parentheses question mark.
Yes, so the whole the fact that we have an Augie Smith here, that's bringing about the big theory mainly. He's like, well, if he's here, that would, and things are going well for him and the Peacemaker bunch. Why would that be? So all that's great, and right now he's having a grand old time. He goes to Argus. He meets the very pleasant, very well adjusted Amelia Harcourt. And by the way, did you hear what her? You didn't watch any of that podcast yet, did you?
No, I need to check out the podcast. I keep reminding myself.
You know what they nicknamed her on the podcast?
What?
So the Amelia 2 is Thirst Court.
Oh my god, that's dumb.
Well, it's a cutesy joke, but that's like what their nickname behind the scenes for is because you can tell the idea is if you look in this episode, she really does want to get back with Peacemaker, and you kind of see it on her. So even though she's in a relationship, she's thirsty for Peacemaker.
I mean, she kind of views like Rick Flag as sort of almost like a pet.
Yeah, pretty much. He's the safe choice.
My good boy.
Well, that's the thing. He's the safe choice. That's the idea.
Exactly. Yeah.
The idea is that, well, again, mind you, they keep teasing that they're going to get into it this season. They're going to get into what mainline Hardcourt's problems are, like her past and everything, which apparently is going to be a doozy, but we haven't gotten there yet.
But I mean, we already got a pretty decent piece of the puzzle with it, though.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying even with Rick Flag, just in general, though, the idea is presumably Amelia Harcourt has daddy issues, which, again, we even hinted at in the first season that, she and Peacemaker had that moment during the stake at, like, dads, right? That kind of thing. So Harcourt has daddy issues, which, I mean, probably feeds into why Rick Flag, and then by proxy, why Peacemaker. I imagine a military man kind of a thing, but that's a guess.
Sure, sure.
Regardless, that seems to be kind of the bonding kind of thing. And even this Peacemaker, again, probably doing the more, kind of season one Peacemaker kind of things. Plus, he's got a pill problem. So that probably put a kink in the relationship. So we really firmly, we built this up that the Peacemaker of this universe had kind of this bad pill problem, which keeps reminding me of Nuke from Nuke from the Marvel comic.
A
Remember
little
we had,
bit, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, by and large, that character does have a lot of shades of Peacemaker, at least the more
yeah,
exaggerated version of him that was actually in the comics.
exactly. So I keep every time they bring up these pills, I keep thinking it was something along those lines, but we'll see.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's see. Okay, so point me in this universe. I love this scene. I love how John Cena's acting. Everyone's been kind of lauding him for it as he's deserved. His acting is just continually gotten better ever since he's run the James Gunn. And by
I
this
mean,
point,
it's
it's like
really crazy because I definitely remember when he was doing his whole, like, when he was essentially trying to be The Rock with those kids' movies. I'm just like, oh, what is John Cena doing? He's just so flat. But no, you're right. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think he's kind of like running circles around the Rock when it comes to acting.
Now, mind you, The Rock has actually made an effort recently, apparently, with that
Yeah,
Smash.
no, I know. We'll see how that movie goes.
I'm saying, like in God knows how many, and he's even said himself, which just makes it sadder to me. It's like all that power and all. It's like, yeah, I did things I thought would be good for the brands. Like, really, man?
Oh God!
You led DC on for years about, yeah, I want to do Black.
Right?
Really?
That whole ironically enough, what kind of saved. What saved John Cena is kind of what killed The Rock for a while. DC,
Yeah.
DC association can be good or bad.
What's funny about that thing with The Rock though is that James Gunn he really hated the whole DC, the old guard of DC, the DC kind of basically basically after like the post kind of Snyder of it all at DC where they were kind of in between things. Basically, when they saw the writing on the wall, between Shazam 2 and Black Adam was like the whole thing. James Gunn really didn't appreciate them putting Harcourt and John Economos in the DC.
Oh, I bet. I was wondering about that. Yeah, I mean,
apparently he never sang. It's not canon. It's not sanctioned. I don't know how it probably wasn't sanctioned. Just given his distaste for it, would be my guess.
Right, yeah.
Because basically it creates like problems that he would have to write around. For also another thing. In the Shazam sequel, they use the same actor, so they had to come up with like this funny response that Jamil, the janitor, he's got a twin brother. That kind of stuff. Like if they, God forbid, they would ever just run it by him, like, hey, can we use this guy? Or would you have me? Anyway. So, so point being, the moment I want to highlight with his acting here is he's very jealous. We have the very jealous boyfriend of Amelia Harcourt, too, which is Rick Flag Jr., who is alive and well. And I love how John Cena plays the scene where he's reacting and like the guilt and the shock and like there's somewhat of a relief that Rick Flag's alive, but it's a great discomfort to him. And just the fact that he is this giant hulking guy, and this Rick Flag is not the.
I also kind of got the sense that like there's a lot going on here with the acting, but I got the sense that because it's fucking Rick Flag Jr., he kind of feels a little less intimidated by that being Harcourt's boyfriend, if that makes sense.
I didn't get that.
So basically what I'm trying to say is that he's less intimidated as far as like, oh, okay, I can take this guy on as far as like being a romantic prospect. But then obviously the bigger picture is the fact that he obviously killed this guy in a different universe, and that's what's going to complicate things. So it's not necessarily that he's intimidated by him. It's more so just the complication of the whole situation, if that makes sense. That's how
that makes sense, but I kind of read it the opposite way. I kind of read it that we saw, like, Peacemaker, he did really look up to Rick Flag, and he really respected Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad movie. And in Peacemaker season 1, we saw that big scene on the bed where he's crying to himself out of guilt, like, Peacemaker, what again? The thesis statement of the show. I mean, Rick Flag has fundamentally impacted the man's life and has him reevaluating himself. And I think he is absolutely intimidated. And obviously, this season we're going to see Rick Flag, the wrath of Rick Flag Sr. about Jr. So I think Rick Flag Jr. is really at the center of like Peacemaker's inadequacies and like his weaknesses. So I think he's kind of having a bit of a kind of a very well maintained anxiety attack in this scene, kind of. Because you can see the nervousness, and he's
sure.
He's
Well, again,
untouchable.
I think it's interesting that you and I kind of read different things into his acting, but I think
Yeah,
that's kind of a case of good acting there. There's a
yeah.
lot of different things going on.
No, for sure. I mean, maybe there's a little bit in the middle there. I don't know. Maybe you're right, but still, I
Uh-huh.
think he played the scene very well. At the very least, he played shock on this scene very well. And I love that Joel Kinnaman, he really loved this episode because he got to play comedy, which again, through James Gunn with the first Suicide Squad, he was able to do which he had never done before. He definitely didn't do during the first Suicide Squad movie, aside from ironically with lines like "This is Katana." I recommend not getting killed by. That's more an
Right,
unintentional laugh.
right,
But
right.
yeah, so it was refreshing. They basically call him kind of like kind of the meeker Rick Flag genius. This guy, this is probably a guy who's more of like a less in combat jarhead because he's more in the army, probably more army intelligence. Because given how he's kind of acting here, he's an office manager. He's not really like a field agent or anything.
Sure,
Basically,
sure.
this is a Rick Flag who's more like John Economos is the gag,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
which makes you wonder how awesome and kind of butch is John Economos in this
Oh my
universe.
god, it'd be fucking amazing if John Economos in this universe was just like a Giga Chad.
I mean, you got to remember, John Economos. I mean, Steve Agee, the actor, is like 6 feet tall. He's taller than Superman in this universe. Seriously, he is literally. So when they did, it's not that much an exaggeration because Steve Agee, he was so tall, and they used him for the motion for the body performance of King Shark in the Suicide Squad movie.
Right,
So
right. I
he is,
forgot about that.
that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons he is in that movie. And then as this afterthought, I was like, wait a minute, you legit look like John Economos from the comics, which basically is what happened. Like, oh yeah, we could actually put him in the movie because he looks exactly like my buddy Steve Agee. Okay. Point being though, I just love the he's this pathetic office manager who is insanely jealous of Peacemaker because of his past relationship with Hardcore, which maybe suggests kind of an inverse of things, where instead of Rick Flag being the previous relationship, then Peacemaker coming in mainline universe is probably the opposite here. It was Peacemaker, and then like she's went with the safest option versus the risky dad-like individual that she's dating, that she was
Sure,
dating.
sure. See that.
And Joel Kinnaman, like there was a little bit of improv when he knocked over that trash can. Like some of the lines after that was improv.
Nice.
All right, so the 11th Street kids, the morning after their big party, we have Adebayo and Hardcore having a little bit of a girl talk.
Hmm. And this is the kind of stuff where it's the kind of relationship drama where it's like, I'm not exactly like tuned out of it, but it's kind of just like, all right, let's just sort of move it along, especially now that we know that she was with Rick Flag Jr. Like, it almost kind of feels like a scene like this is almost unnecessary, if that makes sense. Dragon, just I don't know.
I mean,
I just
I think it's more
I just kind of
elongated.
think I just kind of want to get on with it at a certain point because now we know what her reservation is about Peacemaker.
I mean,
So I don't really think scenes like this anymore.
but I don't know. I think we're really building the foundation for how Be Like Hardcore in this universe would come around on Peacemaker in our narrative. They give them a reason to go back. So I think we kind of need this.
Mm. But I mean, once again, Vigilante turns out to be like the scene stealer here.
Okay, so this is the funniest thing actually. So apparently, it's in real life. Again, this I wasn't far off with my constant comparisons of Vigilante to a young James Gunn. James
Yeah,
Gunn
yeah,
is
yeah.
James Gunn is he's a huge animal lover. If anything we've noticed from any of these movies that James Gunn has ever done, the
Gee,
man
after watching Guardians Volume 3, I never would have guessed.
he loves seriously in all of his movies. Technically, there's like an animal in every movie. So even the
Uh-huh.
non superhero ones, like Super, like we have a bunny and there's that kind of stuff. So the point being, he loves crows. Like he is obsessed with crows. So even
Oh,
though
God.
Vigilante was mainly talking about spiders, tarantulas, and all that, the brief mention of crow facts, James Gunn's like constantly talking about crows and how much all like the interesting crow facts and stuff. Anyway, yeah. So it's just really funny and just hardcore's having little patience for me. Basically, instantly like sicking him on John O'Connell's. John's in the bathroom. And I wonder if he's doing okay. He might be choking on his own vomit. It's like, why are your fingers in my
Oh,
mouth?
God.
One of the funniest deliveries was just the whole how many eyes? Okay, how many eyes does a tarantula have? If we
A lot
ever
of
had
pop quizzes throughout the episode.
Yeah, if anything ever happens to John Economist, I think you and I we should start a petition and have Jacob Gulliver take his place.
You know what? I would sign off on that, but there's, as you know, Dragon, there's a character not Succession, from Severance, that he very much is Jacob Gulliver.
That's true.
By all intents and purposes.
Wait, do you mean Mr. Robot?
No, not Mr. Robot. I mean, it's the same guy who was the guy who was recording the fight on the bus in Shang-Chi.
Oh, right, him. Yeah,
Cherry. Yeah. Now that guy is absolutely just another Jacob Gulliver.
That's true.
Anyways, and if you watch Severance, like, it feels even more like Gulliver, like all the layers of Gulliver as a person.
I thought you said Succession at first before you.
No, I did say Succession. I get the two mixed up. I did say Succession at first. Severance. Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah.
Which you might want to check out, Severance, before the new Spider-Man. Just saying.
Okay.
Got a pretty big actor in that from Severance.
All right. Anyway, so the whole, like, the sets of eyes thing, the whole thing, man, you said that so convincingly. I actually had to look at my phone.
Uh-huh.
All right, so Economos is dealing back to the interesting stuff with our mainline universe. So Economos, he's dealing with Bordeaux and Fleury in the aftermath of Eagles massacre last episode, where the idiot Fleury, that idiot, thought it was like a
I think at this point Fleury is probably my favorite character in this whole fucking show.
I hope he doesn't die next episode.
Oh, if they kill him off that soon, I mean, I have my doubts about him making it to the end of the season, but yeah.
Well, remember, there's a slight chance he could be in the other universe, but we'll get into why it's a slight chance.
You want to know what my favorite moment with Fleury was here, Dragon? It's a moment that kind of called back one of my favorite moments from last episode.
It was the whole, like, yes, that was funny, but still.
Well, no, I mean, that was great, but the whole, like, Dragon, I fucking adore how he's like, you almost got titties killed! Like, I adore this whole thing where it's like he has this very disparaging nickname.
But he does care.
Who he obviously fucking cares deeply about.
Almost got her killed.
Like, because at the end of the last episode, we have that where it's like, oh no, titties!
Yep.
So it's like, I love that runner. I fucking adore it. I'm eating it up.
Yep. All right, so again, Economos very clearly said eagle and pointed out to him as an eagle. It's not even like a fact that he can't recognize. The fact that he has very poor listening skills. That's the real. Really, it's not just bird blindness; it's bird deafness.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So he's there wondering if, like, he tipped him off. He's like, no, Fleury's just an idiot. It's just a trained eagle who was always there. So they want to send in Red Saint Wild, the very culturally appropriate eagle hunter.
This guy didn't get quite as big of an introduction as I was kind of hoping for, because obviously, like, anytime you have this actor in a James Gunn project, you got to take notice of him. But I'm excited. I mean, that I honestly, when the episode premiered, I was kind of like, okay, we gotta have Michael Rooker in the thumbnail, right? Because, like, it's his big premiere episode. But then I'm like, no,
not yet.
We gotta wait for the right moment to include
Diggy, the chances are we're gonna have, like, an episode, if not a whole episode, at least a subplot of an episode where it's gonna be. They keep promising it's gonna be like a Wile E. Coyote thing, where it's
exactly.
So presumably James Gunn, he knows how Rooker works. Again, Rooker is his puppet. Rooker is his Jason Mewes. He knows how to work him. He knows. He knows everything about Rooker, so he knows, like, how to get them. He's going to mine a lot of comedy out of Rooker trying to kill eagerly and probably failing miserably.
I love how Economos is just instantly pointing out how un-PC it is.
Which is going to be a regular thing where he's going to, point. He's going to call him the old cultural appropriationness of the character.
I mean, not just the cultural appropriation, which is obviously a part of it, but just
it's a government organization that is trying to kill a bald eagle.
An American bald eagle,
which is hilarious. I love that he's making a very valid point with that too. Of, like, really, one, endangered, two, like, symbol of the nation. Really, gonna try and kill it.
So yeah, Rooker doesn't get a lot to do this episode, but
He is
something's
pretty
to say.
funny though in this episode too, where
Uh-huh.
he's just like, "Oh, come on, man."
Come on, man. I am very much looking forward to seeing like what they do with him in the future
And
for
any
sure.
eagles in the nearby area? No, just the eagle in the house. Oh, he just wants to kill all the eagles.
He's like Bender.
Yeah, kill all
Kill all the
humans.
eagles. Kill all the eagles.
Yep. All right, let's see. So, meanwhile, back in the seemingly much better universe,
Yes, so much better.
seeming emphasis on the seemingly. So, Chris and Amelia, they again really showing the chemistry here. Again, seeing some thirst cord in action too. Let's be honest, she's melted for him. She's head over heels for this version of Peacemaker.
uh-huh.
Yeah, again, it's very nice, very hopeful date that they go on. The whole extra mustard thing was cute. It's let's see. So basically, ultimately, they're like sitting in kind of like this kind of nearby park, and it's like like look, just show me you can change. Take a few days, and let's explore getting back together. Which again is a very nice relationship writing. It's good.
Yeah, yeah.
And then this is hysterical. This is still probably the biggest laugh of the episode. So just it's so morbid, but it's so funny. A suicide bomber is accidentally like tripping and he falls on his bomb, and that's like the immediate. Every time I watch this with somebody, they're always taken off guard by the immediacy of the explosion.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit, and keep in mind I've not seen a lot of trauma stuff, but it kind of falls in line with the sort of humor regarding how incompetent the villains are in the Toxic Avenger
Yeah.
movie that just came out. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's very trauma-esque, which
And of course that's very appropriate because that's kind of where James Gunn cut his teeth.
yeah, big break was Romeo and Juliet.
Uh-huh.
Yep. All right, let's see. So the Sons of Liberty are it's basically seemingly.
Can I just say there's a Metal Gear Solid sequel that's called The Sons of Liberty, and every time they said that, I just thought of fucking Solid Snake.
Well, apparently they were the good guys the whole time.
What can I say? I'm a video game nerd, Dragon. I've never even played that game, but it's just kind of omnipresent in the video game community.
All right. So the Sons of Liberty, which basically, I mean, it could be one of two things. It could be basically a Sons of Batman homage, like a Peacemaker's Batman in this universe. This is like kind of the sons of basically people that are probably wrongfully inspired by Peacemaker, trying to do stuff. That's what kind of the red herring is.
Sure.
Or most likely, again, if the theory is to be believed, which again, it's a very solid theory, just based on the fact, well, yeah, we have no characters of color in this universe, and things are going way too well for all three of the Smith family members. It seems like these guys could be a resistance of some sort. Like they're actually trying to spread like a social message of, maybe. But again, they haven't really effectively. I love the incompetence on these guys that were seeming. And again, I love that within this. And Tiki, this is the thing. Even before I kind of didn't notice the whole like. I knew we haven't gotten to our characters of color yet, but I thought that's what I was focused on. It was like, okay, we haven't seen our bio yet. We haven't seen seen the other characters. But the thing though.
When we see Adebayo, it might be a very, very dark kind of place that she's in this universe.
I think for all, again, we do a resistance thing, presumably Adebayo would probably, or if they want to go for shock factor, which would be really cool, Myrn could be alive and could be the leader of the resistance.
Sure.
It's possible. I mean, if we want to bring him
back. I
missed
him, by the way. He is one of the things from season 1 that I do kind of miss.
Honestly, if they bring him back, that is the only way I could see them bringing him back. He would be like alive in this unit, but and not as the butterfly. They'd be like as the real mercenary Myrn, but a mercenary for good. Like kind of. Anyway, so here's the thing: on the first watch, even without picking up on the full the theory, is knowing that eventually can't last. There's gonna be something there. Knowing like the theories around, but I didn't put the piece, but I didn't notice the big clue. But what I loved is that I felt there was something amiss, that these terrorists they seemed really incompetent and they didn't seem all bad. And it seems like, what if they had an actual agenda, but they're just, I felt there was a sympathy for these guys that, traditionally we shouldn't have, but it led credence, like you feel that, okay, something's not right here.
Mm.
And I love that. I love that you can say, oh boy, these, like they're slipping and falling. They are shooting people. They are doing bad things. They're about to blow a place up, but still, it's like, I just love that you can kind of feel that in the energy that's going on here.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So let's see. But again, so aside from terrorists, again, or quote unquote terrorists, here, again, there's seemingly no representation for the people of color quite yet. And again, in our presumably neo-Nazi esque verse we're probably in right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I love seeing Peacemaker in action. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, it's just all really fun. I mean, you know me, Dragon. I have a hard time kind of commentating on the action scenes. I love his enthusiasm, though. I love, this whole season so far, we've seen him kind of struggling to kind of, he is kind of existing in the whole like shadow of Peacemaker. What a joke! So
Mm-hmm.
I do think that it's cool to see him basking in it, and of course that kind of irony that is definitely going to be taken away sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I love seeing him in action because we saw him pulled for missions for the Suicide Squad and for the whole butterfly thing in season 1. But we never really saw, like, we had mentioned, he would, again, like, first scene of Peacemaker and talking to Jamil, like, he like, oh, Peacemaker, that racist superhero, what? That whole thing. That whole
Right.
scene is that the idea that Peacemaker goes on patrol and sometimes Vigilante comes along with him. And the question I have is, do you think this is the first? Do you think Peacemaker had like saved people, but very brutally, and that which gave him the bad rap, or do you think this is the first time he's actually saved people?
God, I don't know. I honestly didn't really think too deeply about it either way, but
Because I always wanted to see. Like my presumption was that he had saved people, or he had like gone on like patrol and stuff to actually
I mean,
stop crimes.
I wouldn't say this is the first time that he's ever like earnestly saved people without being brutal, but I would say that if I were to predict it, I would say it was probably like a slippery slope, and once he got more and more of a taste for the violence, it probably just kind of spiraled from there. But I don't know, Dragon. I'm sorry, you're throwing questions at me that are like philosophical that I don't really think I can handle.
I mean, look, until James Gunn, like I guess, tells us otherwise, my presumption is that Peacemaker, ordinarily, he'd gone on patrol with Vigilante and they've killed criminals, probably occasionally saved people, but you never got the recognition of, oh, you've saved me. Like, oh, God, he's a crazy maniac who's killing a disproportionate amount of people of color versus the white people.
Right. Right.
And this universe, it feels like, he's being more applauded for his methods than usual. But again, he's which again is adding to the recognition that he's been looking for all this time. It's basically his usual methods being applauded.
Uh-huh.
Love him killing somebody with a copy machine. I just want to get that in there. Love him killing people with office supplies and copy machines and everything. Fantastic. So Keith takes down a helicopter very awesomely. The brothers are very proud of each other. It's a really big win for them. Really nice. And then we have this beautiful scene of them in the library. We got to talk about that scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pretty much, it's pretty much everything that Chris ever wanted from a brotherly bond with this person that he never got to grow up with. And it is it's very touching. And I definitely think that easily above Augie being alive, I think Keith being alive is going to be the thing. Even when we find out that this universe may or may not be populated by Nazis, we'll get into it.
That's going to create such a conflict, assuming it's populated by neo-Nazis.
But, especially if Keith himself ends up being a neo-Nazi.
Presumably he is.
Yeah. So that's going to be the kicker.
Okay, so with the neo-Nazi thing, okay, assuming that
and
is
again, we're just taking this based on like some of the evidence, the Kardashians not being around, which implies that
she
never even got a chance to be famous.
Yeah.
The whole thing where there's no people of color in the crowd shots at all, which is absolutely not a coincidence or a mistake from Warner Brothers' part. That was very intentional. Like, there's got to be at least some sort of like racial purity going on in this universe, at the very least.
Yes, there are a lot of theories as to what caused this universe to be this way. Mind you, we don't have the answers yet, hence its speculative nature. But it does feel like, again, some people theorize it's like, what if the South won the Civil War, and that's kind of how this maybe maybe happened. The other thing is like, okay, if Peacemaker's family were successful and kept
The
together,
more
maybe they.
extreme theory I heard was, what if the Nazis won World War II?
Well, I mean, that's another one potentially as well. I mean, I don't know. I think we would have had more of a German influence had that happened, though. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm leaning more towards like the Civil War thing. But who knows?
The
The
Civil
point.
War makes sense, especially because by that point it'd be like hundreds of years out and it'd just be so normalized in the culture, and that's why it feels normal on a surface level.
Because there's a question too of like, have we like some people? The question of, is a world just without? Could it be a world just without people of color, or is it like, I think the darker thing is more likely is that there's an extermination, or we're keeping them all like kind of under the floorboard, so to speak. We're keeping them, like in the slavery thing, perhaps. Like we haven't really been in anyone's house in this universe. We've seen like the downtown area. We haven't really seen what the home situation is aside from Peacemaker's,
Sure,
Shangri-La, but
sure.
no servants though. So there is a question there about it. So again, that's why the Civil War theory isn't quite there. But again, if it's a neo-Nazi thing, then perhaps it's just like they've kept the population under control through very dark means, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to speculate there. But regardless, I mean, the main thing before factoring all that in, the whole universe, is that it's like, what if Keith didn't die, and then kind of things going from there, or what if Augie was a really good father? That's the other question. Like these are the questions, and it seems
I
like
mean, if that's the case, again, it doesn't explain the lack of people of color.
that's true.
If Augie was just a really good father, that really doesn't explain anything.
Now, I want to be clear. I like that, but again, here's the thing: if they, you could always kind of say A equals B there. Where again, if there's no black people, no like people of color or anything, if there's no like if it's just based, it's an all white kind of neo-Nazi friendly world, then he doesn't have a reason to be a bad guy. He doesn't have a reason to be a white supremacist. So therefore, to be a better father potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So could be that, could be any number of things. So it's going to be very interesting. Regardless, though, it presents the dilemma that no matter what, and we have this scene that really phrases it that way, Nick. No matter what, like these brothers really love each other, and I love that you could see through John Cena's performance, he desperately wants to tell his brother because he can feel that he'll accept him, but he knows like it'll be a conversation that is going to ruin everything if he admits the truth.
Sure, sure.
And I love that. And I love that the brother's like, even if you're on the pills, you can come to me. It's a beautiful, like the whole I miss you so much. And just seeing like his greatest mistake that ruined his life and killing his brother. He even views, again, so desperate for his horrible father's approval, in the murder of his brother. Like that's the thing that would have changed everything for him if he didn't kill his brother.
Uh-huh.
So all that's just it's very interesting. And again, he leaves promising he'll come back. And it's like, oh boy, he's walking into a trap. So back in the basically the ambush that's forming there, we bring back Judo Master.
Oh yeah, very fun. I was kind of worried that we weren't going to see him because, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not even in the opening credits. Is he?
No, I think he's in the opening credits.
Is he? Then I'm assuming that he's out of costume. Then
that's it. I can't look. I could have sworn I saw him in the opening credits, but I did binge.
I guess
the
there's
first
just
season.
a lot going on in the opening credits. Obviously, there's way more people in that one than there is in the season 1 version. But in the season 1 version, he obviously has like that very prominent moment where Peacemaker just holds him up. So
Look, admittedly, I have been skipping the intro because I've been eager to get to the episode.
How dare you?
I've seen it. I'm gonna rewatch it. All right,
No, Peacemaker is absolutely one of those shows where I'm sorry, Dragon, I will sit through that intro every goddamn time. It's part of the experience.
I know it's part of the experience, but
Well, I mean, one of the things, just legitimately one of the reasons I think you shouldn't be skipping it is that I do think that the way that we transition in and out of the episode, there have been some artistic liberties taken with that. So
yeah,
I don't know. Anyways,
well, regardless, the point being, I haven't really rewatched it enough to know that.
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna use AI.
What?
I'm gonna use AI. Is Judo Master in the Peacemaker season 2 intro?
Oh, don't ask Rock. Come on.
Yes, Judo Master is in the season 2 intro. Okay. There we go.
Right, well, anyway, The point being, Judo Master is back. As Red Saint Wild and company are about to descend on Peacemaker's house, and they're prepared to kill him and Eagly if they find the quantum unfolding chamber, which they know when it's activated. He just activated it, walking right out of it. And although it's like this, the timing could not be worse, and he is walking into an ambush, and it ain't going to be pretty.
Uh-huh.
Now, a few things to speculate on, things that we kind of know. So next episode, I forget it has a pun name, but it's something about the door. So basically, we're going to be talking about the quantum unfolding chamber, and it sounds like we're going to get the. It sounds like the cold opening of next episode is probably going to be the origin of the quantum unfolding chamber with Augie.
Nice.
With some people, again, with the whole connective tissue that we now have on the table for Man of Tomorrow, there might be some Lex Luthor connection.
Ooh, I would definitely geek out if we see some Nicholas Holt in there for sure.
I would say Nicholas Holt is going to be a safe bet. I presume we're going to set him up next episode, but again, the presumption is we're going to see Superman or Lex or somebody. Like, we're going to do a direct Superman thing in
I think
those.
we got to build to Superman. I don't think we're going to see unless here's the question, Dragon. If we're going to see Superman, are we going to see Nazi Superman?
Well, okay. Well, first off, if we're going to see Superman, period, it feels like it's going to be in those 3 episodes that he's shielded from everyone seeing. So first off, second off, no, I don't think we're going to do Nazi Superman, because I think the presumption that right now, I think we're doing like a Fantastic Four thing where the only heroes in this other universe are Peacemaker and his family.
Sure.
That's my guess. Is given we haven't seen anyone else, but you're right though. If we the people of color and everything, it might put a damper on it. No Mr. Terrific, we know that for sure.
Oh God.
Technically, we had Superman and Supergirl in the show already.
Yes, we did. We
got them all in there.
Oh God.
Yep. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else we should really kind of speculate on here. So I think presumably, Peacemaker is going to run back into that other universe, and he is going to be followed. And I imagine at some point, Rick Flag Sr. is going to go through there, and we're going to have him meet that Rick Flag Jr.
You would think that's coming up. Yeah, that only makes sense for sure.
Now, you know what a part of me wonders? A part of me wonders if we're going to have a joke where he said Rick Flag Sr. is so overjoyed to have his son back, but he's also kind of a little disgusted by how much of a milquetoast guy. Just a little bit, just like, but here's the thing. I think the way Frank Grillo would,
son, you're not how I remember you, but I love you, son. I love you.
That's the thing. I think it'll be like, I think that's the way Grillo would play it, where he's like, he's overjoyed to have his son back, but like in the thick of the action with him, he'll like lose a little. It's okay. Like, he'll treat him like a little boy. It's okay, Ricky. It's okay.
Oh, it's okay, Ricky. Oh God, I can see that.
It's like, no. It's like, I'm not yelling at you. Just go that way. Something along those lines. Oh, okay. Here's what I wanted to mention. I remembered it. Okay.
Yep.
A buddy of mine at work. We do a lot of water cooler talk about Peacemaker. Sure. He and I, he brought up this idea, and I think it's a genius idea. So again, eventually we are going to fold over the Creature Commandos characters into the proper, DCU. Now,
you would think so, yeah.
Now, at the end, like certain actors, I think are certain actors are 1-to-1. We haven't seen like official like footage or like stills of them in live action yet. But again, they were cast with the idea that at least the principal characters would be able to be adapted through all mediums: video game, live action, animation. David Harbour, we could easily see as Frankenstein, live action, easily.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
The actress who played the Bride as well. Like a lot of people, again, she's cast pretty much 1-for-1 for that character. Now, that said, Rick Flag, if he goes in there and he finds out, it's a neo-Nazi universe, and he goes out of there, we know who he's going to bring in.
Oh man! Oh my God!
Imagine that. That's what my buddy mentions. Like, okay, perfect for GI Robot. And think about this.
Let's plant the flag right there. Now I'm suddenly glad that they actually have GI Robot alive in the end. Maybe that's like wouldn't that be funny if that was like the sole reason why we brought back GI Robot at the end of Creature Commandos?
Now imagine this, Tiki. Okay, follow me on this. Okay. He brings back GI Robot. Rick Flag Sr.'s revenge on Peacemaker would be, again, GI Robot, either by his hand, but let's just say for argument's sake, GI Robot being like the big weapon to do it. basically destroys the Shangri-La that Peacemaker went to, and it kills his father, kills his brother, kills everything that he
I
cared
can see
about, much like he cared about Rick Flag Jr. But then, and again, on the other side of things, though, do you think Rick Flag Sr., does he take this Rick Flag Jr. back to his world?
Ooh, God, I don't know. I don't
That is
know.
the
I mean,
question.
that's
I think he's principled enough that he wouldn't do
I
it,
would
but
think so too. That's a very messy thing to do.
remember
Yeah.
though, James Gunn does like to play in those moral grays though. Like
Sure, sure,
does he
sure.
take him back? Does he, I mean, you know.
Well, and again, one of the really good things about Rick Flag Sr. in this is that yeah, he's probably the closest thing that we have to an antagonist so far this season, but he's not the villain.
No, no,
You
no.
know what I mean?
No.
So yeah, and that's just really refreshing.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Anything else we need to cover?
Well, no, we just have like the pants gag as the post credit, but we're all good.
I'm really loving these post credits gags.
This is the first time we've actually had a post credit scene that is there's actually like kind of like an added scene that's not just like an extended like you know kind of like comedy riff.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
This is the first time I was like, okay, well, he had to take his pants off at some point. That's probably what happened.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So final thoughts.
Oh, thoughts again. Loving it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
No, I'm really excited about this. You know, I mean, again, I've said it pretty consistently after Superman came out. I truly think that James Gunn is probably the best, at the very least, the most consistent director to ever work in the superhero space. I mean, I think his work just speaks for itself. And so I love the fact that he is essentially a Kevin Feige who is, you know, a lot more hands-on. Like it's like if Kevin Feige was,
Fun.
you know, was more artistically driven and an actual director. It's like I feel like that's what we have here with James Gunn controlling DC, and it's very exciting to see, especially in these kind of like early days. So
Do you think Feige is ever going to throw down the gauntlet? Do you think he's ever going to step into the chair?
I don't think so, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think with this James Gunn situation, I kind of think it's like, well, I know I can't compete with that, so why try, you know? Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, that'll be it, folks. We will see y'all next week. Looking forward to it. Of course, stay tuned. Drag and I are going through every episode of Superman, the animated series, on our Fortress of Recaps, which is basically the spiritual successor to the animated Batcave. So catch us there as well as of course the Phineas and Ferb recaps and other stuff we're doing on the channel. It's gonna be a fun time. All right, have a good night, y'all. See you later.
Peace out.
He almost killed kitties.